Hey everybody, it's Bronco from Apex Vaulting. So today's video, I wanted to talk about, the transition from indoors to outdoors, what you need to do, and I also really want to talk about, as a coach or an athlete, we have to stop giving lip service to the fundamentals. So you just went through an indoor season. Hopefully you made it as far as you would like to those championship meets. Hopefully you've hit a PR. Certainly everybody's gotten a season best at the very least. And hopefully that season best is at least close to your PR. You've basically maxed out. There's some positives, there's some negatives. Now is the time where you can have good use of looking at some video from the past indoors. Look at some fundamental things that didn't work out. What was wrong? Was your runoff? Are you running backside? Are you not jumping up at takeoff? Is your plant late? Are your plant mechanics clunky? Are you planting too early? What's the swing look like? What about the turn? What about the push-off, right? You could start to break it down, see where those weak links in the chain are, and now is the time to hammer those fundamental drills. You could be doing stuff off the runway to work on running form, jumping up, planting, pole runs, and then it's very important to then apply that on some short run approaches, because I'm telling you right now, if you just do some running drills off to the side, or you do a jumping drill off to the side, or even you do like some pole runs to work on your plant, and then you just go back to 5 lefts or more, that's not going to translate. Because I see all over, Instagram, all different types of social media, everybody talks about the fundamentals. You got to do drills. You got to do pole runs. Pole runs are super important. And again, when I kind of poke and prod people and ask how often they do pole runs, it's like, well, we did them for the first week of the season, something like that. Well, that's just not going to cut it. That's not going to translate. And again, even if you're making strides on off the runway drills, you're going to have to try to apply that on short run stuff. Okay? Not your long run where you're getting jacked up and trying to run hard and you're getting super aroused and pumped up. That's not going to work. You are not going to change to any technique like that. You have to be very calm, not emotional, really rational, methodical. You have to be cerebral if you're going to make big technical changes. Like, as an example, let's just say, you look at the video through indoors and you notice, you're not really finishing takeoff. Like, as soon as the tip hits the box, you're swinging. Okay. How are we going to address that? Well, one, let's make sure there's not a plant issue, okay? Make sure you're jumping up at takeoff. Let's say you got that squared away and you're doing some off-runway stuff. Now you're going to have to do short run drills from 1 left, 2 left, 3 left, 4 left, very calm, very manageable grip, very manageable pull. If you have to get jacked up, I don't care if you're doing 2 or 3 lefts. If you have to get jacked up and slam the pole into the box to get it into the pit, you're gripping too high. You're on way too big of a pole. And again, this is a case where, I talk to people all the time, they might have even had a stellar indoor season. Stellar. PR'd, significant. And when I ask people, I'm like, all right, what's the plan for outdoors? What are we doing now? We got to get on the next pole. We got to go up 6 inches of grip, get on a longer pole. And my answer always to that is like, okay, how do you do that? How will you get to that next pole? How will you get to that next grip? You can't just say that, because I know what happens in those cases. This is where now you take an athlete and imagine they've had a great indoor season, really big PR. And now all you do outdoors is, probably doing some long approaches a little too early. Like, I'll tell you what, right now, this week, If you had an indoor season, because I know there's people around the country don't have an indoor season, so they might be doing a little bit longer approaches now because their outdoor season is already starting to ramp up. They're having meets. But if you're doing long approaches right now, no, you're not going to make any changes. You're not going to make any changes. And again, because we talk about the technical, and I'm gonna keep talking about the technical. But when we talk about the physical, right, the most gifted, genetically gifted athletes with many training years under the belt, they can hold a physical peak, meaning run as fast as they can. Like if they're running 100, they could PR. If they were lifting weights, they would PR on a 1 rep max. You could hold a physical peak for roughly 2 weeks. Now, someone may be listening to this and say, well, Bronco, like my biggest pull is a 15-180, and I can jump on that every single week throughout the whole season. I'm very sorry to tell you, then that is not your physical max effort. Because if your physical peak max effort pull is a 1580, you would not be able to do that every single week. It's just not possible. Guys, think about it. Like, how often do the best 100-meter runners in the world run PR times? Once a season? Twice max, right? 2 weeks? Usain Bolt didn't run 9.58 every single meet of an outdoor season in preparation to the Olympics. Far from it. Now, you could, again, you have to be smart, you have to plan, and you have to log things. You could see where, oh, wow, early season now, we're still doing 5 lefts because we're waiting till later in the season to get back to 6, 7, 8 lefts. We're already on bigger pulls from a 5 than we were this time last year or this time last year during spring. And this is an important point too. Let's say you are doing those short runs and you're trying to work on the technique, right? You're trying to finish takeoff, then swing, right? You don't want to skip takeoff, or you're trying to run taller, be knee and foot out front, jump up, whatever the technical change is. If you're telling me that you're getting on bigger pulls from a 5 and you're landing in the middle of the coach's box, for anybody who doesn't know, on the top pad, there's usually that square, right? That's like kind of in the middle of that top pad, and that's a safe place to land, right? It's kind of more centered straight down the middle, and it's a little deeper into the pit, right? Like if you land in that box, you probably have your standards at least 20 inches back or further, right? Obviously, if your butt is landing on that front line, probably not. Okay, so want to land in that box. If you're landing in that box and you're like, wow, I'm getting on bigger pulls from a 5 than I was this time last year in spring, great. That is awesome, and you're not doing something that's overreaching. Right? When we constantly overreach in training, right? Like if you're overreaching from your 5, let's say you say, oh, Bronco, I PR'd with grip and pull from a 5 and height even, right? But I was landing on the slope. So now you're in front of that front line of the coach's box. You might not go up a lot of grip and pull when you go back to your full run because you're overreaching at the 5. And guaranteed, if I watched video, something broke down. Either your run broke down, the plant timing, the takeoff, the swing, something fell apart because you're overreaching. You have to understand that. If you're always overreaching and taxing, and right now, listen, I'm not really speaking to beginner novice people. Beginner novice people are they have to learn so much technique and skill in the vault that they're pretty far from their physical limitations. What's limiting them is technical stuff. So they're not going to have any problems really with overtraining the vault other than shin splints. They're certainly not going to achieve central nervous system fatigue. They can't even run at full speed because they don't know how to hold the pole and plant properly enough. But with someone who's been jumping a little bit and they have enough skills, you're constantly overreaching like that. Good luck. You will burn out by the time you get to your championship meets and outdoors. So again, a lot of people give lip service about training. A lot of people give lip service to technique and fundamentals and drills. And yet this time around, this time of year, right, I see a lot of people not doing that. They're not taking the time to, you know what, go back to GPP. If you've been listening to my videos, GPP is general preparatory phase, meaning you're not looking at the general abilities that need to be increased in your athlete. If they're running too slow, maybe we should be doing some short sprints. Maybe we should be squatting or deadlifting. If they had trouble on the pole, swinging, turning, getting a good push off, maybe they need upper body work. Maybe they need pull-ups, bench press variation, something there, right? Push-ups. Maybe you need med ball throws. Maybe you need some plyos, right? If you're not taking that time to build that physical foundation that they can now recruit those abilities when they go vault, okay, we're not gonna get a physical peak. Now we're just at kind of baseline. Then if you're not doing the off the runway drills, applying this to shorter approaches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even, look, if you're really advanced, you're someone that can run from a 9, I think even a 6 left is appropriate, you know? So you could be doing that this time of year, but it has to be manageable. I was just listening to Mark Bell. He's a former power lifter. Now he's kind of actually tinkering a little bit with track and field. He's been doing some sprinting stuff. His body has dramatically changed over the years. And Mark Bell said something where someone was like, well, you know, what if I hit a strength plateau? How do I get past that strength plateau? So like, let's say you're lifting, you're stuck. Let's just pick bench press. I know a lot of guys like bench press. Let's say you're stuck. You just can't hit 225 in bench press. He says, well, you have to pick a manageable weight and do lots of sets and reps to figure out that movement better, build the musculature, groove the central nervous system for that movement so that you can bust through that plateau. Well, I would say this is the time of year. If you have a technical gap in your jump, okay? Even if you're like, you know what? Let's go with the 1580. You know what? I jumped on a 1580. I jumped, 15 feet. I think I can get 16 if I go 15,780. Okay, maybe I agree. Yes, if you get on that pole, you'll jump 16. But how do we get there? Well, there's probably some technical stuff we got to work on and physical stuff. So make sure you're doing the work, on the track, sprinting, in the weight room with the weights, plyometrics, so on and so forth. And then we have to work with manageable poles and grips to correct those technical gaps and not just give lip service about technique, actually work on technique, okay? Instead of just maxing out those poles and grips and then watching the iPad for like, oh, was the drive knee a little tighter? It's like, who cares? Did you set up for the drive knee? Did you actually set up to jump up? Or do you just have a drive knee and you're still running into it? Who cares? It's not about the drive knee, guys. This is not cosmetic. You're not going to get style points. So you have to have these manageable pulls and grips and runs so that you can appropriately change your technique so that when you've now hopefully done the physical training as well and planned it to peak for those championship meets, you can, when you go back to your 7, 8, 9 left, now hopefully you will progress to a 15.7 180 and jump 16. You have to be smart, guys. You cannot just grind your way through, okay? We can't just force this. I know a lot of times in the pole vault, we want to just like white knuckle stuff. It's like, no, I can make this work. Not forever, not like that. You've got to be smart. Don't just give technique and training lip service. Put in the work. Make a real plan. Don't just tell me what pole you think you got to get on to PR. Tell me how you're going to get on that pole. And I'm not talking about what approach. Don't tell me you're going to go back or left. Tell me what work are you going to actually put in. Have a good one, everybody.